done so that your local recording will upload, and then I can use that. All right, we are live, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. What we want to do is make sure that we can share this before we get rocking and rolling today with our masterclass. So I'm going to jump onto my Facebook, and why don't you guys do the same?
I mean, I'm literally on your Scottie Campbell, and it does not say that you're live.
It might take a minute to catch up.
Oh, there we go. Just got the alert.
Yeah. We'll make sure that we're rocking and rolling.
Oh, you invited me. I'm going.
I think you were invited. I think Andrew was invited. There we are. We're live. It's happening. It's happening right now.
Good.
I'm going to change this to public audience so that you should not have an issue sharing.
Okay, yeah, I saw the post and I just accepted it and all that, but I don't.
You should see it live on my Facebook page now.
Okay.
I think I can tag you guys.
Okay.
Make sure that we're
I see it.
rocking and rolling.
But I don't.
There we go. You should see it live on my
Well, there it is.
Facebook page now. Bada bing, bada boom. Excellent.
All right, let's make this.
Cool. I hear us repeating somewhere.
Yeah, it's in the background. We're getting.
Cool. All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump off the Facebook page now. We are live for our masterclass today. Really excited to be doing this. This is our second time, and we're going to continue to roll with these. Andrew and I have really got a passion for educating people on how to make property ownership, home ownership, really it's wealth through real estate possible. So welcome, whether you're watching it live or if you're watching a replay. We're so glad you're here. Andrew and Carla with F3 Ranch and Realty Group, dear friends of ours, great partners in business, and most of all, heart and soul of what it takes to get invested in the right pieces of real estate in Central Texas. So take it away. Give us a little introduction. And what are we going to be talking about today?
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about a few different, really kind of, I think we're hitting, a few different keynotes here. We're going to talk about land, what it takes for land acquisition, how to roll into some construction, because a lot of folks, especially people that, let's just be honest. If you haven't built a house before, it's a process. But then even to get to the point when you start building, that's a whole nother process in and of itself. So going to answer some questions there. Personally have an Airbnb that we are getting rid of that is on market. Want to talk a little bit about strategy on that. That is an income producing property. It's a great property. Super cute. I'm using that word again here. I think I used it last week.
You did. You gravitate towards that word. There's nothing wrong with that.
I wasn't excited about using the word, but I
good.
don't think grown men should be using that word unless they're describing their kids. At least I think I'm grown. And then hitting on a property that if you're here, you're hearing about it first. Should be hitting the market today or tomorrow. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So if there's any interest in that, I do believe that that's going to get some interest. It's on the northern side of Waco, so we're going to get a little bit of that Dallas interest, which is nice. Anytime we're a little bit south or a little bit north and not east or west of Waco, we start to get a lot of Austinites and DFW folks that find some interest. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, so why don't we kick this off talking about land. Land is a big topic. Andrew, I know that you run into this quite a bit. I do too. People who are from Texas love land. People who are coming into Texas love the idea of building kind of a homestead for their family. So you guys kind of specialize in this, right?
We do. So it's one of the things that, most people know, but, I'm not a Texas native. my family generations ago was, and then they went to California, and then here we are back to our roots, kind of like a Alan Jackson song, right? And so people don't realize what land entails most times. People don't even understand really acreage. Some people will call me and say, "Hey, I want some land," and I'm like, "Great. What do you want?" And they're like, "Well, I just want enough space to put my feet up." Okay, you can do that on a half acre.
Yeah, this is true.
They're like, "I don't want to be next to my neighbors. I'm from Phoenix. I'm from Southern California. I'm from San Jose. I'm from Seattle." Whatever god awful big city you're in with horrible politics that we won't talk about, most people just want to get some space.
Yeah.
But to understand that, okay, hey, great. Well, maybe you're trying to get into a mobile home. We've got mobile home sales contacts, or manufactured is what I'll really call it. These manufacturers are
let's hammer on that real quick, because when you're purchasing land, a lot of times your goal is to get onto that land as soon as possible.
Yes.
And you can literally purchase a manufactured home to put onto that land and have it there in what, 2 weeks? I mean, 30 days tops.
I mean, they can pump them out, pretty quick. And to be honest, I've looked at a few because, of course, we like land and always want a place to go to, when stuff hits the fan, or, hey, maybe just get out of Dodge for a little bit. And that's what most people here are doing. They just really want to get to a place where they get some peace and quiet. And again, put their feet up, don't see a neighbor, don't have to look at someone, as some people will say, do some morning business off the backside of the porch and not have to worry about a neighbor scene, is what most gentlemen will tell me. And their wives look at me and say, "Don't listen to him." So, and I just say, "Hey, I get it." Here's what I'll say. Land is for specific people. And this may be one of you out there, but if you love people, but you don't like them, you need to give us a call. Because land is for you. It just gives you that time to get some space so that you have energy to deal with them when you go back to whatever you're doing. So what we're going to talk about today, we've got everything from small acreage to big acreage. And so that's a big thing that people don't understand. What is the impact of how big? Can it be agriculturally exempt? What we call ag exempt for short. What do I have to do to get that ag exemption? What does that entail? How does that keep my taxes down? What are the tax benefits? All these different pieces have a big part in it. But in the end, you really got to ask yourself, are you ready to take on the work of it? If you're not going to live there full time, it's something that can become very tedious. There's ways to get around it, and that's what we're here for. When we moved from California, that's what I was trying to say is I wanted more so to do with rural land, large properties. I could have sold, $2-3 million houses in California all day long. That's the normal going rate, and made buku bucks. I didn't want it. It wasn't about the money. It was about doing something that I enjoyed. So it doesn't mean that I don't like selling homes. It just means, what do I enjoy more? And I knew that, the only way I was really going to enjoy myself doing real estate in California was going to get in the commercial side. And, but I just decided to get out of Dodge. So here we are.
So you guys have really found a niche here, if you will, helping folks figure out, how do you implement the dream? And I love that, because there's so many different hows. A lot of people think you need a ton of cash to buy a piece of land. The reality is, if you're going to build a home on it right away or put a manufactured on it, you can oftentimes finance all of that within the process of purchasing. And sometimes, depending on the pricing, as low as 5% down, and get it all done. VA loans, no money down, can actually be done. Buy a piece of land, put on a manufactured or a site-built home with very little out of pocket. So there's a lot of possibilities here. And I love that you guys are always putting those puzzle pieces together and helping folks figure that out. So, without further ado, let's start talking about, we've got one specific piece of land we wanted to talk about today. You want me to bring that one on screen? We could chat about it?
Yeah, go ahead and bring it on screen and we can kind of go through there a little bit. I've got it pulled up on mine as well.
Here we go. All right. So is this the right one?
That is it.
Perfect.
So super easy.
Why don't you explain to us what we're looking at first and foremost?
Yeah, so super easy. It's ctx.land, not ctx.land.com, not ctx. It's just ctx.land. So if you head over to that website, all these properties are on MLS. So if you have an agent, they can give me a call. or they can go to ctx.land. We have our contact information on there as well. I've had some folks that have had a hard time catching on MLS. Again, us agents, we're not the smartest people in the land, but all that being said, we pretty much saw an opportunity in this piece of property. It was 135 acres, had a creek that was rolling through it, which you can see towards the left side of this tract, where it borders tract 2, 4, 11, and 12. Multiple tanks. Some people call them ponds. We call them tanks around here. And so we saw a lot of road frontage, and we saw some really beautiful property, and we saw some opportunity with electricity being at the road, as well as, what does water look like? So long story short, at that time, there was not a lot of inventory. People were wanting 10 acres plus. Hey, I just want 10 acres. So, again, going back to what people are asking for, a lot of folks, people say, hey, I want 10 acres. And I say, why do you want 10 acres? And because I want it to be ag exempt. So, just to understand, in most counties and throughout the state here in Texas, you have to have at least 10 acres in total to be able to keep that ag exempt, which really helps with the taxes. Then you can cut out 1 acre for your homestead, put a home on that, and still ag exempt the other 9 acres. Your tax evaluation is going to be like $900 or something crazy. It really gets down your evaluation to almost nothing for that. And then really you got that 1 acre with your home. And so that was kind of
that's pretty amazing. Like that's that's one of the massive benefits of this strategy.
It really is. It's a whole strategy of how can I get as much as possible without having to pay for it. And I don't think that people always understand how or what that looks like and how to do it. And so again, that's what we're here for. And so this was kind of, this is just one big block. Me and one of my partners came in, and we knew the property obviously by being out there, and said, hey, how can we use the current fencing? How can we use the creek as boundaries? How can we make these beautiful pieces? So you can see we've already sold a few pieces. We have a few left. We put good money into bringing in good water. So it's a Tri-County water supply company out there in Marlin. So a lot of people see Marlin and they're not excited about Marlin water. This is not Marlin water. This is Tri-County. So a much different organization, much more organized in what they're doing and all that stuff, and good quality water. But to make it very clear, there is so much land out there for sale. We went from a place of, hey, there's no inventory, let's give the people what they want, to now there's an abundance of it. The issue that we keep running into, and I keep telling my clients this, look, I'm sending you properties that only have water. Okay. You're looking at properties on Zillow and Realtor, and you're sending me like, hey, what about this one? I'm like, I guarantee you don't have any water. Doesn't have a water meter. Okay. People say, well, Andrew, I'll just drill a well. Well, hey, that's great. And you can do that. And to be able to be off grid water wise is awesome and amazing. But you could probably pay a little bit more per acre, get a property that's on a water meter. And if you still want to put a water well, then go ahead and do it. But you're looking at a good hefty amount, depending on how deep. I've seen these get up to 85,000, 65,000, depending on how deep they're going to go. The deeper they go, the more expensive, the materials change. And also the timeline to get that done, and then to now put your property on, you're really setting yourself back on how quickly you can enjoy it. If you're going to put, an actual slab property and it's going to take you 9 to 12 months to build, well, then that is what it is. But each and every one of these properties comes with a water meter. Power is at the road. So, like I like to ask my sailors, are we cock, lock, and ready to rock? These are ready to go.
So, first of all, I love that. Second of all, I'm looking at these tracks and I'm just kind of thinking this through, because from the perspective of somebody that wants to live there and put a home on one of these tracks, lot 11, lot 6, they seem to kind of connect. Well, obviously they're all touching their lot 11, but how did you set that up so there's like access to the road, for example, for lot 11? Is it that little thin access right
so
there? Is that how that works?
Yeah, so it has it's not an easement, it's an actual portion that is part of track 11. We cut track 11 so it could have part of that pond, at least access to it.
That's cool, yeah.
And things can still be worked around. That's one thing that people have asked. So part of track 12 could probably be cut at the front and do a 5-acre track and things like that. It all comes down to water. The saying is that Davy Crockett said that whiskey's for drinking, water's for fighting, and it couldn't be truer now. I know you're down in Austin. You guys are having all kinds of water issues. People don't know
Oh
about.
man, it's nuts. We're in Georgetown. I'm on Georgetown City Water. Yeah, there's a lot of challenges. I feel bad for folks that are on these mud district setups,
Yes,
but it's good that you've got this set up in a way that folks are protected. And listen, you can always drill a well on your property if you want that backup too, right? So you could have two
absolutely.
sources or rainwater collection, which people think it barely rains in Texas, but I mean, if you have the right rainwater setup, you can have backup water to last you a year if you got it set up right. So there's
I've actually been to a property that was in Golson, so not too far from a little bit north of Waco, out there by Homestead Heritage.
Yep.
A little plug for Homestead Heritage. If you've never been there and you come into Waco, stop and
It's
get
really
some
cool.
food. They're good people, got some good stuff. I got a lot of friends that are from there.
Nice.
But that property only operated off of rainwater, and I didn't believe it. And then I went inside. I went inside of their
Wow.
inside of their shop, and they had huge, massive tanks. When you're getting 4 or 5 inches in a day, and you're catching every piece of that, that's a lot of water.
Yeah. I didn't pick up on that when I was out there last, but yeah, a little plug for that place. Really cool. Everybody who comes through Waco should check out Homestead Heritage, no doubt. And that's cool. So there's a whole community, kind of like a Methodist or Amish or something. I don't know what their belief system is, but there's a whole community of people that live on the property, and then they operate their businesses, and so everything's rainwater. So that's a plug for possibility here.
Well, this one wasn't them specifically, but it was one that's in the area. So that's what really got me. I said, I just couldn't. I didn't see a way that they could do it, but they did. And so all that being said, what I love about what they do is, they're just folks that are out on their land that are really just making it happen. I mean, this is the way of the future. So many people are going off grid, bringing in their own cattle, their own chickens, they're growing their own food, and, track one right here, you can see to the right, 15 acres. I thought that would be the hardest track to sell, Scottie, because of how long that driveway would be, how much it would take to get utilities, water. Yep, that one right there. Yep.
Yep.
And it was the first one to sell. They've already built out there. He's building an arena. His boy does rodeo. He's a great gentleman, prior law enforcement, actually here from Waco. So there's people that are buying, that are putting good money into it. Track 3 that you could see on the other side of the creek from track 2, that one also was built upon. So we've got some people that are putting some good money in these places, and I check in with them. We keep in contact with everybody, even when they do have agents, because we want to keep selling, and everybody's really, really enjoyed it. And so it's cool for us to see something, dream it up, deliver a product, and then in turn turn around and say, hey, how is it? And they're like, we love it here.
I find that to be extraordinarily cool, and probably very, very fulfilling for what you do. Helping people figure out like what drives what they're trying to accomplish, and then help them do it. Very fulfilling.
Yes, and we gotta change that. I gotta think. Track 9 is also sold. We just got that one.
Oh, this one right here.
Yep,
the little guy.
So
nice.
Yeah, and so again, going back to what people are asking for and what they're wanting. So 10 acres minimum for ag exemption. 5 acres if you're gonna have bees. That's the cheater. So you can do a 5 acre track and still be ag exempt if you have bees. With bees, yes.
Nice.
So
nice.
Good. I'll have bees one day. But all that being said,
you don't have bees yet. You got the chickens.
And I got chickens. We've got lots of plants. My wife is a Mexican plant lady, to say the least. She is every stereotype you can find on Instagram. Every plant out there, but no bees yet. And I'll have it when we have a little more space. So. It's interesting to look at all this and say, we've actually talked about track 2 just because of how serene and awesome it is. And again, saying, hey, we want to build what we want to build. We love our home. We love our neighborhood, but we know that we will get some acreage one day. We will build our own place one day. It will be exactly.
Dude, 13 acres is bigger than people realize. I mean, you look at that and you go, maybe that's not that big. But 13 acres with a pond on it. Oh my gosh, man, that's beautiful.
We used to have a cattle lease on the property, and I used to check in on him, just say, hey, how the cattle doing, how they're doing out there. And he just straight up said, if it wasn't for your tanks, the way they hold water, I would have had to bring water in. And so the good part about that is those tanks hold water really well. It's something, again, that people who don't understand rural land, who don't know what things are, you can get a big tank / pond that gets lots of rainwater, and you come out a couple weeks later and all the water's gone. And they just don't hold. They're not what we call sealed. And so it can create a little bit of an issue.
I thought it would be cool just, as we're kind of closing out with this property, just to go to Google Maps and zoom out and like really look at how accessible this is in comparison to downtown Waco.
Yep. So put your cursor a little to the left of Lake Waco. Just your cursor, a little bit down where it says Willow Grove, Windsor. You see that little point? Yeah. Okay. Yep. So that's essentially where we live. And when I've got to go out to the property, it's about 45 minutes for me.
I don't know why it just mapped to my house, but it did. Oh, your location. That's
everybody knows where you live,
now everybody knows where to find me. Anyway, yeah, no, it's actually a really great location. And yeah, you got Marlin right here. And then
you can do the general stuff in Marlin, but most of everything you can do inside Waco. Most people do Tractor Supplies off Highway 6. Yeah. BuzzFeed is right off Highway 6. That's what I actually meant to say, Tractor Supplies in town. So if I'm out there in Willow Grove and it's 45 minutes and I got to go 6 and then I got to go around, you're really 30 minutes from downtown Waco to Baylor area. People say, wow, Andrew, it's so far. It's not. It's a hop, skip, and not even a jump. And you get really used to it. The first time you go out there, it seems far. But then after that, you're like, man, this is nothing. So for anybody that's in Waco, and
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say all the buyers essentially have only one's come out of Waco. Everybody else is coming out of Dallas and Austin, which we weren't expecting that.
Well, it speaks to what you started out talking about. Is like people want. So if somebody's going to buy a piece of property like that, it's either an escape, and it's a second home or whatever, or it's an escape for a primary home, and maybe they work remotely and they only have to go into Dallas or Austin a couple times a month or even once a week. It's not that bad. So yeah, a lot of possibility there. And, even though this is one specific property we're talking about, just a little shameless plug for you and Carlin, what you guys do. I have found that when people reach out to you and they say, this is what we want, you guys figure it out. So that's, if you're looking for land, these guys will help you. Very, very prudent with options as well. So let's keep the train rolling, man. And I will say, I didn't work up any financing options on this because there's just so many different ways to do it. There's ag lending, which we can do. There's, you could actually do a conventional loan on most of these properties as long as you're building a home on it. There's just so many different things, VA loans, a lot of financing options. So that's just a deeper conversation to have, once you decide this is what I want, and then we figure out how. So once you decide this is what I want, then we figure out the how in this type of case. So cool, man. Where do you want to jump to next?
Let's go ahead and jump to the next property. If you want to go ahead and pull up Illinois.
Yes, sir. So we've got this. Now this one is this one's special. I know this property well because it's yours, and you guys did some really cool stuff with this property. So tell us about it.
Yeah. So originally it was going to be a flip. That was the whole intention. We did think about holding on to it a little bit, but really, super overgrown. Could still use some touch ups, and we're working on some of those things. But really, the reality is I'd much rather give some of those credits to someone who's looking to get into the property than go and do all these things that again they want to do on their own. But house was in okay condition. Could have definitely been better. A lot of items. Outside had been completely neglected. Listen, when you've got a large property and this is just about half acre, it's a lot of work. And that goes back to what we were saying beforehand. It's a lot of maintenance, and you got to get it to a certain place for it not to be that. So essentially this was just an older home. CAD has it as built in 1900. I believe it's a little bit older than that. Had that shop there, that white piece.
This little guy that you've turned into a second residence, like an ADU, basically.
Yep. So we turned it into an additional residence. We had one renter at about $1,200 a month with utilities included. Had someone else who approached us after that person was getting ready to head out and just said, hey, looking for a place, need something quick, and so we are currently at $900, but $1,200 isn't hard. We we wanted to be accommodating and bless some folks that needed some space and needed it quick, and we're in a little bit of a pinch. And so, it's 900 is good. I mean, you're talking about a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, ADU.
Yeah, for sure.
And honestly, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's not.
This really impressed me, though. I mean, and I'm not branding you guys as this. I'm just, it's kind of like everybody, has this stigma about the Magnolia fixer-upper thing. Like this is that dream that people look for, right? Like, so somebody could buy this, not have to do all the fixer-upper work. I mean, obviously, it's a property you got to do a little maintaining on, but it's already set up. Like this main house you could live in, and then you've got this back here that could be an income producing either Airbnb for you, or it could be something you long-term rent out like what you guys have done, or vice versa. You could live in this if you're, a single person or just a couple, and Airbnb this out like you guys have done. Not that you've lived in it, but you've been Airbnb this part of the property and renting this out long-term. So it's a great income producer. And actually, when you were thinking about keeping it, we did an appraisal on it, and we found that there's excellent rental comps on this. So even though it kind of is, China Spring, a little bit middle of nowhere, whatever, but we found out that there's excellent rental comparables to even do a long-term rent on the whole property if you wanted to, needed to. So there's just a ton of versatility in this property.
Yeah, so that appraisal was nice. We were at 454. We're currently at 425 right now. Just trying to keep up with rates and whatnot. The reality is that originally our entire intention was to build this place for these joining families. There's so many families nowadays. Mom and dad are getting older. Mom and dad didn't prepare for retirement, whatever it may be, right? I mean, my mother-in-law is with us about a year into Carl and I getting married. She's been with us ever since, a little bit here off and on, visiting other family and staying with them. But hey, look, it's just it's the tale of the times of what's going on. And so I remember saying, I want this to be for someone that wants mom and dad close, but not too close. And so the house is great. So again, I'm going to be honest. The biggest thing this property needs, it needs some paint, and needs a little bit of things here and there. But you're talking about new plumbing, new wiring, spray foam in the attic. AC's been worked on and working in good condition. Everything inside of that one unit is. Air conditioning's new, the plumbing's new. All those things are all brand new, essentially. And so we get good income. It's funny you talk about that Magnolia. I think we just had a actual one of our Airbnb. What do you call those? The review was like excellent, beautiful place. Very
so talk about that for a second, because you guys are pretty successful with this as an Airbnb. And then if you're new to short-term renting, like you list your property and then people can leave reviews, and they're oftentimes leaving reviews about the property, the experience, whatever. But you guys are getting great reviews.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, somebody just left one. Actually, I saw it this morning, was like, saying how great it was, and total Magnolia vibe. And that's cool. Everything in life is an experience. And that's one thing, I've always said, there's only 3 things, good experiences, bad experience, and everything in the middle, you just really forget. I don't remember what I had for lunch last week, but I definitely remember the sirloin steak that I had at Landry's in Corpus Christi. Shout out to Landry's. Love going down there, and took some of my sailors down there so they could experience some good Cajun Texan food down there. You remember the things that are important and that are fun. And so we wanted to create an experience here at this Airbnb where people remember it. I mean, we've got 5 kids. It's not easy for us to go to a hotel. We like Airbnbs, and our kids remember the good ones. And guess what? They remember the ones that aren't good. And they're like, oh, do you remember that one that had the rat? Remember the one that smelled? We've consistently gotten families that have said, absolutely enjoyed it, loved staying here, would totally come back. Kids instantly went to the game room. I said, show that game room real quick. I just want to show that off just real quick. That's
actually one of the coolest things that you guys did. First of all, I mean, shout out to your wife, because I know you didn't do any of this.
No.
Excellent. I mean, just absolutely excellent. I mean, that's beautiful. Like, my wife would look at this and she'd be like, oh my gosh, we got to stay there. So you guys have just outfitted this thing so perfectly. And then, this game room with the bunks and everything, how cool is that?
Yeah. So, essentially and so for anybody out there who doesn't have an Airbnb, and just to be very honest, if you are just another room to stay in, and you don't have something to give an experience, you're just going to be in the middle. And I've never wanted to be in the middle in the mix. I'm either going to really suck at something, but I'm going to try, but I'm not doing well because honestly, I went too hard. I pushed too much that I ended up failing, or I'm going to break through. And so when we were kind of trying to configure all this, I said, look, we've got so many kids. Where would our kids want to stay? What would they want to do? So we have an old Super Nintendo, a thing that's hooked up to the TV. It's got all the old fun video games. And so I just thought about dads that want to get their kids back to the old school stuff. So it is, again, now cock, lock, and ready to rock. We are willing to turn this place over with all the furniture ready to go, got financials and all the fun stuff. So if you want to go over some numbers on it, let's do it.
Yeah, I think this is a great example. Is this the right one? This is it. I think this is a great example of how you can make a property cash flow as an investor right now that a lot of people don't realize the possibility. So this is one of Andrew and I's favorite ways to show how you can get a deal on a property. And he's being really generous now by showing you how he's willing to give away money on his listing to sell it. And what we're doing is we partner together. So I'm actually kicking in some funds towards this as well for any buyer that wants to take advantage of this strategy. We call it a seller buy down. And it very simply means this. We're going to show you with real data and real numbers how you can save a significant amount of money owning a property by having the seller pay to lower your interest rate. This model is not a temporary buy down. We can make that available. We can actually save more money for the first 2 years if you want to do what's called a 2-1 buy down. This is very simply a permanent 30-year fixed note buy down. So if you were to buy this home, we're looking at column 1. If you were to buy this home today at list price of $424,900, putting 25% down, which is pretty standard for an investment property. If you're looking at it and you want to make it a owner occupied, we can restructure these numbers for as low as probably 5% down. But for this model, 25 down, interest rate's probably going to be about 7.25. That's middle of the road, depending on credit score, qualifications, whatever. That's going to put you cash to close at about 117, and total all-in monthly payment, we're estimating 2533. Now, taxes and insurance, not 100% there, but you get the idea. What we talked about before the call, Andrew, was if somebody was going to make you an offer on this and they're saying, okay, it's a buyer's market, we want you to give up something for us to do it, most likely they'd be asking for about $50,000 off. Okay. So that's our price reduction of $374,900. Now I can tell you this property is worth a heck of a lot more than $375,000, and the seller doesn't want to sell it for that.
Well, right? Yeah, I was going to say, let me help you even more. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Yeah. So
that's the case. I'm taking the Nintendo.
I'm going to lowball you guys $50,000. Most likely, it's going to be, hey, go pound salt. And even at that with same rate, of course you get a little lower on your cash to close, but you're only saving about $255 a month.
Yeah.
And the seller's probably not going to take that offer. Check out the rate reduction though. So column 3, we keep the price at $424,900. We finance $318,675, so same as first column, but we get your rate down to $599 fixed. Now your payment's down to $2268, and that's a reduction of $265 compared to column 1. That in and of itself for an investor is cash flow, right there. It's cash flow. And if you consider what he was talking about, you can rent the small property for probably $1,200 a month easily. And then, whether you're going to rent out the main house or Airbnb it, whatever. Do you mind to give us an idea what that main house will cash flow on Airbnb?
Yeah, we've been all over the board at 424 with what we are currently at. Our cap rate was 7.1%.
That's pretty solid.
So let me see. I should have been a little bit more prepared with those numbers. Let me see here real quick. I'm actually going to go on my.
Yeah, I mean, if you just want to give us an idea on.
We pull about we pull easily about $3,000 every month. We always break even when it doesn't. I'm like, oh man, we're going to lose this month, and then all of a sudden, because most Airbnb bookings happen within about 2 weeks at a time. So you might be looking out towards like we just got the first one for November. Hey, it's football season. we're about to get jam packed. If
Yeah.
anything, I'm about to start raising these rates on these because we went through. We did take the rates up a little bit on Baylor football, if that's what you call it for all you Baylor fans. I call it senior citizen bingo night, but it cash flows, and every single time. I mean, I had someone that stayed in there for 3 months, Scotty, 3 months on an Airbnb rent.
Wow.
It was about $16K altogether in those 3 months. I was just like, okay, like, we ended up trying to get them discounts because, we want to keep it through Airbnb to protect ourselves, protect them, all
Absolutely.
that stuff. But did want to get them, a little bit of a discount. And so weekends are pretty much always booked. We had someone that canceled this weekend. It's back on. I mean, they get in tomorrow instead of today. These people are staying till Monday instead of Sunday.
For somebody who's brand new to that game, I know the answer to this question already, but are you willing to help with getting them up and running? If somebody wants to buy this off you, what's your, can you help them launch their Airbnb business?
Yeah, Airbnb says that you can't transfer, the platforms and all those different things. The reality is you're going to hire a, Airbnb, short-term management company to help you or something like that, But the reality is it's really not that hard. We've already set it up. It's ready to go. One of the people that was interested, it was really awesome and smart. We're hoping that they still are interested. But essentially, their son is coming to go to Baylor. It's only about 25 minutes to the university. So when I say in the middle of nowhere, every time you and I talk about the middle of nowhere, McLennan County, Waco area, we're talking about 30 minutes from town. It's interesting, right?
Right. We're not talking about that far.
No, living in SoCal, take me 30 minutes to get to the local Walmart or Target.
Exactly. Exactly. 100%.
Parking spot. So, it's not far. And then they wanted somewhere that they could come and stay and be able to visit so that they're not getting the hotel, but now they're covering their costs. They're making their money back. They're making more than just the payment for the taxes. And the reality is this, and I wanted to hit something. We keep talking about how do we get into properties? How do we get into properties? How can we make this work? When buyers, you guys are still sitting on the sidelines. I'm just going to call you out. I'm telling you right now, I'm talking to consistent sellers, and I'm giving you the message that they're conveying, and I'm also going to convey you the message that I'm thinking in my head. Rates have been dropping, but news has not dropped the big news of them being dropped. So everybody's still kind of like, well, the news hasn't said anything, so, we're not going to really get out there. The minute that news drops, I'm going to log into my MLS, and according to my sellers, each one of those properties is going to go up 10 to 15% overnight. And whatever deal you thought you were going to do is out the window. Again, I'm willing to give $9,000 on this property. I'm willing to make some repairs, some other concessions, do some things, get you into it, give you the furniture, all that stuff. These rates drop tomorrow, I'm probably going to go back to appraise.
Well, because it turns things. Like, people don't realize the adjustment that happens as mortgage rates fall. Properties go faster. It's a very simple piece of economic structure, right? Like, it's no secret the Federal Reserve broke housing. The last 3 years, that's what they did. They didn't know how to handle COVID. Nobody did, to be fair. So I'm trying to give them a pass. But the reality is, we should have never seen rates in the 2s and the 3s. That was not healthy for our economy.
I mean, I'll take my 1.9.
I'll take my. Hey, listen, I got
all the veterans out there that got their streamlined Earl in,
but it shouldn't have happened. It really shouldn't have happened.
The reality is the bank's not making money on it.
The banks aren't making money, and to get a little deeper into mortgage, nerdology, the servicing portfolio, the company that sends you your mortgage statement every month, they have a long-term investment. So whatever company is holding your mortgage, they've invested expecting you to hold that mortgage at least 5 to 7 years, hopefully longer. And therefore, they're only making money over your long-term investment. So the problem becomes when we have interest rates that are super low, we've got a lot of families that aren't going to sell those homes. Then we've got families for the last 2.5 years who've been buying homes at 7 and 8% rates. Those people are going to I'm refinancing them right now, because that's the right thing to do to take care of the family. And it makes sense. As the rates fall, we do refinances. However, the challenge becomes, as rates fall, buyers who've been sitting on the sidelines, there's a ton of pent-up demand in our nation, but specifically here in Central Texas. You and I talk to people all the time. I'm just waiting for this. I'm just waiting for that. Well, eventually those people are going to stop waiting. And eventually people who have the 2 and 3%, I own a home at a 3-something% interest rate. I'm going to sell my home. I'm going to move because I have a desire. I have a goal for my family. So eventually I'm going to give up that rate, as painful as it is, and I'm going to move. And other people will start to do that. And so what he's saying is so accurate, because all of these homes are going to go up in price because their perceived value goes up. Now, maybe you have a home sitting on the market for a few months. In today's world, as rates continue to fall, you might have 3-4 buyers competing, and all of a sudden the value of the home goes up. It has to. So to have a 5.99 rate option on an investment property, that we have right here, paid for by the seller, is absolutely incredible. And again, that could mean the difference between the cash flow you're looking for and the cap rate you're looking for as an investor or as an owner occupant. Obviously, it can mean the difference of making it more affordable for you. So
I think it just goes back to what you and I are going to continue to ping, and what we talked about last week is, what is the problem?
yeah.
Yes, the economy's down and out. Yes, a lot of people don't have cash on hand. Okay, so what is the solution? How do we fix the problem? Most people say, well, I just can't do anything, so I'm just going to wait until things get better. Well, you and everybody else, if everything was so easy, we'd all be doing it. Goodness gracious.
One of my favorite questions is, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Because people say, I'm just going to wait. Or let's say, I need to get the best rate. Okay, how are you going to know? And asking those probing questions causes people to really think about things, because the reality is, it's not a rate question or a price question. It's an affordability question. Yeah. And what level of risk are you comfortable with as a homeowner, whether it's a primary residence, an investment property, a vacation home? Where does it make sense? And sometimes investing in real estate especially means you're stepping out into something new. You're taking a step of faith. You're believing in this dream, this idea that you think will work. I just talked to a family yesterday, and the wife is a real estate agent. The husband is kind of more so the breadwinner. They have a great property. They're both veterans, and they are just concerned out of their freaking minds about buying their first investment property. Yeah. Especially her, and she does this for a living. And I told her, the nerves actually don't go away. Like, I've been investing in real estate for many years. I believe in it as an excellent asset class. You got to have your strategy. You got to figure it out. Sometimes the single family thing works. Sometimes you invest in multifamily, whatever, but figure out what you like. And in this type of situation, something like this is a very easy way to get started with that short-term rental idea that a lot of people say, I want to do Airbnb. I want to do Verbo. I want to do STRs. Well, this is your stepping stone. And for, not too much out of pocket, you can get it going.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys, if you guys can get a Airbnb short-term rental that is not being upcharged for already being that, especially in the Waco area, good luck. Essentially, we're really only charging what the amount is of the actual property and appraisal. There's a lot of Airbnbs in this locality. The property itself is maybe worth $300K. The house, the land, the location, but because it's already set up and ready to go, they're charging $500,000 and $600,000, because you're not buying just a home. You're buying an opportunity. You're buying an income producing asset. Anything that can make you money on day one. Goodness gracious. How many times have we invested money into something that, you're waiting years and years and years to even, start cracking.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're paying a premium to start cracking your cash flow early, essentially, in those cases. And yeah, in a case like this, you're buying, like, if you were to try to buy a successful STR inside of Waco City, for example, you're going to pay such a hefty premium for that. The entrance point just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, you and I have helped people buy investment homes around the university. There's definitely opportunities, but this is something that I forgot to talk about, price versus rate. So let's look at this real quick. With bringing that rate down to 599, our fourth column, you would have to drop the price on this home to 373,036 to get the same payment, to make the same impact.
Yeah, there it is.
So Andrew already said, well, if you offer me 50 grand low, I'm going to tell you to go somewhere else. And
my grandfather used to say, go jump in a lake with no water. So
yeah, go pound of salt. But so that's you'd have to get this under contract and purchase it for even lower than that $50,000 price reduction. Whereas with this rate reduction solution, between what the seller's offering and what the mortgage lender's offering, you end up at a great rate for today's market at a great price and you solid cash flow opportunity. So all that said, I think that this strategy really, really works.
Yep. Hey, like we said last week, and we'll continue to say, do the math. It's in the numbers. Don't be lazy. Do your homework.
Do your homework.
And stop thinking it is what everybody says it is. I love all the sideline subject matter experts that have never purchased a home, but because they're super emotional about every topic, somehow they're the experts.
I have sat with and talked to a lot of those folks. just had a conversation pretty recently with somebody who knew a lot more than I did, and I said, "Well, good for you. I do it all day, every day, but maybe you know more. So, congratulations." I told another buddy who was privy to the conversation. I said, "Man, I just learned why I suck at what I do." You have that, and those just aren't the people that were, that are a good fit. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this and you're thinking creatively, looking for a how, that's what we're trying to inspire here, is that possibility and that realization that there's a way to get things done that's not just the traditional sense. So we've got a special one here. I think we might actually save the best for last. If I can I say that? Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, no, yeah, I'd like to end on this one.
I really like this one.
It's yeah. So I've seen it go through its transformation. The seller is I consider a very close friend. She's kind of like a second mom / aunt. And it's time for her to move on to greener pastures. But she's been in this house a long time. And she called me and she said, "Hey, I'm ready to make this happen."
You ready to unveil it? Because this is not even live yet. You guys are getting to see a preview.
It's not live. It'll be on in the next 24 to 48 hours, no more than, because now that NAR has this no coming soon, I've got to have it on by tomorrow, essentially, because everybody here is going to know about it. So yeah,
boom.
This
is beautiful, brother. I got to tell you, I've been sitting here like kind of captivated by this one since you sent it over, and we're just gonna let the pictures roll while you talk about it.
Yeah, so she, as you look at it, you might say, what is this style? What is this? I see that Paris thing. Maybe it's got a little bit of that, French country. But as you kind of look at a few things, and I tell you where the inspiration from what she did and what she picked, you'll be like, that's it. That's what it is. So she did all this. I mean, essentially, she had somebody do it, but she dropped, and she has given me permission to say this, over $180,000 into this home to revamp and refurbish from what it was. It's a much bigger difference than how it was. She was just ready for a new look, but she does a lot of traveling to and from Mexico, and so she has been all over Mexico. It's her favorite place to be. She has a food blog. I wish I knew exactly what it was. Check her out. If you're interested, and I'll put a plug in there for it. But it's really this what we call like Mexican modern, so it's got a lot of, that's where a lot of the blacks come in. You'll see a lot of the colors all of a sudden will kind of pop. I stayed at a hotel in San Diego. Oh my goodness, I want to say the Amelia or something like that. I can't remember, but totally reminded me of her place. Just because of the shapes, the colors, all those things. I'm sure she'd probably walk away from a lot of these things pending a good offer and right offer. But it's everything that you need it to be. So you got a master on one side of the house. So it is a split floor plan. Thank you, Jesus. There's nothing like having a big ranch house that doesn't have a split floor plan.
Yes, sir.
You got the half powder that you saw with the wallpaper.
This is a cool room. I mean, that's a nice office.
So it's where she does her blog. I mean, you have an entire dedicated laundry room. Who doesn't like a dedicated laundry room? But the coolest part about, aside from what she did to the inside, is it's on acreage. When we talk about being in the middle of nowhere, so this is out in Hubbard, right off Highway 31. And when I say right off, from the driveway to the on-ramp for Highway 31 is 0.51 miles. I measured it yesterday. And from that property to Waco, you're looking at about 25 to 30 minutes. You've got a pool. This property sits up elevated and looks down at what you're seeing. So you're actually, when you're on that back porch there, you can see 4 miles. You can absolutely see.
That's beautiful, man. And look at that little gazebo thing. Wow. Very cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, and this doesn't have the lines, but you can kind of see where that tree line goes. It does kind of go at a little bit of an angle towards the
property goes back to here.
Yeah,
okay.
That's it.
Cool.
No real neighbors behind you. There's a landowner back there. But
it looks like, I don't know how to get the picture to go back, but it looks like there was some water back there.
Yes. So if you go,
on this, let me find it. Is that the one I was looking for, maybe?
Okay. So that water on the backside that you see kind of up towards where that skyline starts, that's Hubbard Lake number 4. So that is a large Army Corps lake. Actually, the city of Hubbard owns it. And so you've got fishing that's about 10 minutes away, literally around the corner. There's nothing behind you. That guy runs cattle and there's deer. So they've hunted on this property. You've got the stock pond. Actually looks a little bit low. We had kind of been in a little bit of a drought at that time. I'm pretty sure it's a little fuller at this point. But then you look at how far your neighbors are. You've got good space. And honestly, you probably got room to put another house if you needed to, if you had a family.
Yeah, absolutely.
So price.
Multi-generational thing. Does the property go back this far, Andrew?
Yes, it does. Yep. So that's you're right there. That's it.
Yeah, that's excellent.
So it's a little over 11 acres, I think 11.64 to be exact. So when you get on the backside, you can really see how deep that's going. I
have no idea what's playing music. I think this website is playing us some very zen music.
The website's playing music. I can't hear it on my end. Can you hear it on your end?
Okay, I can, yeah, but that's okay.
Okay.
So if you go onto the website here, it's got some really nice zen music. But this is cool. I love that the pool's got that level down with the retaining wall. Pool looks like it's in great shape. Not a whole lot you'd have to do to this property. Looks like she's already done a lot of work. You could obviously customize it. I know my grandma would cry at me saying this, but you could paint your brick. So if you're not into red brick, it's not that difficult to paint. There's a lot you could do to the outside if you wanted to change it. But I think this is just a really beautiful structure to this home.
I mean, again, to get a house that size that's been completely redone, it's been completely updated with the pool on this kind of acreage. Normally, you're probably looking somewhere. I'll tell you this: market turns around. Properties like this are going to be upwards of $1 million.
Oh, for sure. And I know that you've got it priced. It's priced for a quick sale. We're going to reveal that here in a minute, but that's a great floor plan. Like you had mentioned, a split ranch floor plan, and you have your central living room. Of course, that's that porch out there. Your master juts out with the master bath coming off here. Just fantastic.
So I mean, look at that backside. I mean, the windows that are in the master, right? You have that back door that comes off the master onto the patio. Then you have the windows that are in the eating area plus the door. Then you have a side door. Then you've got the ones around the fireplace in the living room. I mean, you're talking about windows on windows. And the thing is there's nothing behind you. So nobody's looking into your property. I mean, when you go back up and you see, you're on an elevation, your house is up here and you're looking down on your pool and everything else. I mean, the skies, and I mean, I've been out there in the evening time. It's absolutely beautiful. I've always said
natural light. I'm guessing when you're
a lot of natural light. In fact, now that I think about it, for the most part, most of the times I've been there, she hasn't had the lights on because she didn't need it. She's got curtains open, and a lot of times, she's like, when I want privacy, I close my curtains on the front end, and there's nobody there's nobody coming in your backyard.
Something I love is I'm from the northern states, if you will, Pennsylvania. And something that I love, and I know a lot of folks from up there love, is this look. This looks like it's different than Texas. And not that that's a bad thing, but this has its own vibe to it. I love the dark roof, the dark soffits, the dark gutters, and it has gutters, so that's cool. A lot of these houses don't have gutters on them. And then I wanted to point this out. The symmetrical nature of this porch patio is very cool. So that's the master. That's coming off the living room. This is coming off the breakfast nook.
Yep.
So all those doors with all that natural light, lots of access points. If you're coming out at night from the master, you want to go jump in the pool, jump in the hot tub, come back in, you've got that access. And then I saw something else that I thought was really
that'd be
cool.
a great addition to have a hot tub right off that back end.
Sure. You could also put like a cold plunge out here. So I know a lot of people are into cold plunging, saunas. There's just so much space to do your lifestyle in this home and on this property. And then I'm thinking multi-generational, like it would not be hard to pop another house back here.
Here's what I will say. So for any gentleman or manly man that's watching this and he's like, I mean, that's a nice house, I like the pool, but what about what's for me? I'm going to tell you what, I sold a property like this a couple of years ago, and he was a veteran. I'm a vet. He was Air Force, so he's a half vet. Just kidding. And you come and buy this house, you give me a call. I'm going to throw in one of the best metal target sets you've ever seen, so that you can sit on your back porch with your kiddos and shoot over your tank to some metal targets out there. There's nothing like hitting a long range shot and hearing. That's what I like to do for a lot of my buyers that buy nice big land. That's one thing I've always liked about this, that retaining wall. I'd totally be laying out there a 30-06 or 308.
Yeah, man.
Scope. You got this thing out a couple hundred yards, because you're looking, that's pretty deep. I can actually measure that out. If somebody give me a second, I'm going to measure that. Let's talk about how far that deep that goes in. Why don't you pull up the numbers real quick?
Yeah, let's pull up some numbers. All right, so this one here. So we built out a total cost analysis on this one as well. Oh, can I just show you guys one more thing real quick before we do that? I had pulled up the distance from this property into Waco. Where did it go? There we go. So this is
okay. So that address is actually going to take you somewhere crazy.
Oh, so it's wrong.
So it's actually 10 times better. So do you see where it said, go back out? So follow HCR 3350, follow it towards Highway 31. Keep going down and to the right, A little more. Keep going. All right. Go down.
Here we're on.
Okay, so you see Lake Hubbard Lake number 4, right?
I do.
That's that body of water that you're seeing. So do you see how?
Okay. So the pinpoint's wrong.
Oh yeah. So do you see how close that is to Highway 31? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not driving 15,
right here.
20 minutes on a dirt road to get to your house. It's a
so
huge difference.
So the other thing is you got little town of Hubbard right here.
Yes.
And you've got probably enough to survive with no problem there, and then you can get into Waco pretty quickly. So if we want to drop a pin, let's see. Let's just, for the sake of, where should I drop a pin? Like right here?
So right there. So to the left a little bit, just to the left, a little bit more, because it's on 3350. So go up.
So it's probably over here somewhere.
Right about there, a little bit further up 3350, but that's essentially where it is.
And then what's a good address to use in Waco, or do you just want to do downtown?
Put 510 Austin Ave. That's for American Guarantee Title, the best one. And
that's where you'd be closing.
Don Radke, that's where we make it happen. But I'm giving you that address because not only is it for Don Radke at AGT, who's amazing, but that is right across the street from the courthouse and the Alico. So it doesn't get any more downtown than the Alico building. So
the Alico building, yeah, exactly. And then you've got, obviously here we have traffic happening right now because it's Google Maps. So we're seeing live traffic. I would imagine it's, you could probably do this in 30 minutes or less.
Look at that, 34 minutes to downtown.
You got Belmead right here, which there's a lot happening in Belmead.
You've got HEB here. You've got Sam's Club. You've got Home Depot. You've got everything you need. So you're really only 20 minutes-ish from everything, which I've got to go to Sam's today. And so, Sam's Pickup. There you go. Look at that.
And if you're a Magnolia obsessed human being, there's a Magnolia Market right there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. If you're one of those, I love them.
You're one of those kind of people.
Yeah. Amazing.
This is great though. I mean, there's so much possibility here. And, you know, we're going to unveil the price here in just a second. So keep in mind, it's just, you're getting so much, right? Okay, here we go. So we put this together. This is what the property's coming live for at $899. I get that right, yeah? $899?
Yep, that's it.
So property's coming live at $899, and we're going to model this out for a 20% down buyer. Again, if you're watching this and you want numbers for other down payment options, other loan options, let us know. We'll work them up. We're going to assume a 6.99 interest rate. So that puts us at a cash to close of just shy of $200,000. Monthly payment of $57.30. And I didn't know if there is a potential for ag exemption on this, so I did use property taxes.
There is, because it's
Okay.
it's over 10. It's 11.64, but
Okay.
yes.
So you could essentially drop your payment as a owner of this property. You could drop your payment by removing the taxes, or greatly reducing. I shouldn't say removing. It's greatly reducing.
In the
You have ag
exemption. Yes, absolutely.
So let's look at this from a price reduction perspective. So if you were to make an offer, and I doubt it'd be accepted, but if you were to make an offer 80 grand off at $819, same rate, lower your cash close a little bit, lower your monthly payment by $425 a month. That is impactful, but you would really have to have a desperate seller, and I don't think you will, not at this price, right? So let's look at the rate reduction. We're keeping our price at $899. We can get the rate down to $5,875 at a relatively minimal cost to the seller, so it's much more attractive.
Yes.
But that is actually saving the buyer $100 more. So the cost to the seller here was 26 grand, Andrew. $26,000. That's all it costs the seller to give a buyer a payment $525 lower than where the asking price sits. And this is fixed, guys. This is not a temp buy down. We can show you temp buy down. We can explain how that works, but this is fixed, no change. Probably you'll refi within a couple of years anyway, but still, you get a great deal. And then again, price versus rate. This is my favorite one. So to get the same impact of a $525 payment reduction, you would have to get that seller to lower that price $99,000. You'd have to go down to $800,132. That's not going to happen. So this could mean that this could literally mean the difference of a family being able to buy this house or not.
I mean, that 525 in DTI is huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's if you have a $525 a month car payment, and that car payment is precluding you from qualifying. This fixes that problem. This is student loans can help fix that problem, right? So a lot of people don't realize mortgages really have three main points of qualification. Your credit score, very important, right? The amount of money that you have coming in versus the amount of money you have going out. That's called DTI, debt to income ratio. Very important. And then, of course, your asset profile. What do you have in the bank? What do you have in your investments? Blah, 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 et cetera. Wherever that money's coming from for your cash to close, plus any reserves available. A lot of people come to us and they want to qualify for a mortgage, and they kind of hold the cards tight to the chest. They hold the cards tight to the chest and they show us just enough. And we're like, listen, it's only going to do you better if you let us know so we can help you. Let me help you. Help me help you. So if I know everything you got, I'm not going to rake you over the coals for it. I'm going to get you a better deal because we know that you have assets that we can leverage for reserves. Not that we want you to expend your assets. Our goal at Waymaker is always to help people get into homes for the least amount out of pocket in the most make sense mortgage possible. And I know that that's your goal for your buyers as well. So anyway, super impactful from these numbers to make an offer to the seller of, hey, let's work together. And by the way, you could get this rate down more, potentially. You can make that offer. Or you could take a slightly higher rate and have the seller cover some closing costs. There's just a lot of possibilities here. Anyway.
Again, we go back to, and I'm going to keep saying this, I'm educating my sellers. Mm-hmm. I'm going to continue to educate people who retain me as their counsel in real estate. That's our job. So again, if you are a buyer's agent or you are a buyer and you are not educated, one, you're going to get eaten alive, or you're not going to get the job done, because we're just trying to get this person wants to buy, this person wants to sell. Let's make something happen. and we keep beating ourselves up by just trying to do whatever our buyer says or whatever, instead of educating and say, hey, I understand why you want to do that. And if that's what you want to do, that is fine. However, let me give you this information. Let me tell you what this is. And so many times we get so scared of the client, buyers, sellers, you guys scare us sometimes. We're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to lose a deal. I don't want to lose a listing. I don't want to lose a buyer. And honestly, when you do that, you really end up kind of messing yourself up because you put yourself in a place where you can't get the counsel anymore. So either get an agent, get someone that can help you make that happen, and understand that piece. Because one thing about dropping these prices is, Scottie, if you and I were in a gunfight, right? We're in a firefight, right? And we're getting low on ammo, but we know the cav is coming, right? Cavalry's on the way. Are you going to surrender if you know the cavalry's on the way, or are you going to fight to the bitter end?
No, sir. No surrender. No surrender.
Guess what?
Come and take it, baby.
Sellers truly believe, and I do as well, that the cavalry is coming, and that's going to be these rate drops. And so you're not going to get the deal that you're thinking.
That is such a good
holding out. Absolutely.
That is such a good analogy. And I just got the notification from your lovely wife. We need to wrap it up because you have an appointment. We're just having a good time riffing on this. But again, we're going to continue to bring this value. We're going to continue to do masterclass type live streams and just try to help folks see the value in what is possible through strategy. Once this post has uploaded, I'll load the links that we shared. So the 2 different total cost analysis, access to the properties. Reach out to us if you have questions. I know this is something that a lot of people don't like to do. A lot of people don't like to say, hey, I need help. But the truth is, we're here to help. That's why we're doing this. That's why we're taking like literally over an hour out of our day plus the prep work to tell you what's possible so you can succeed. And obviously, we get paid for this. That's what we do. But the reality is there's other ways we could make more money than trying to help people strategize to have the absolute best structure for their family. So hopefully
this is what makes us different. And I'm happy being that way. I'll do less business all day, but good business.
Sure.
If there's one thing I ever took, from one of Chip's sayings at Magnolia, it was, do good work. Just don't work. Do good work. So we're doing it. We're doing it. So let us know.
We appreciate anybody who's been watching with us. And please feel free to reach out. Hit us up in the direct messages. Contact info is in our profiles. Waymakermortgage.com. What's your website?
I don't know. Just call me.
freeranchandrealty.com. Waymakermortgage.com. Find us. Talk to us. We appreciate you. We'll see you on the next one. Y'all have a wonderful Friday and weekend ahead.
Yeah. Happy Friday, y'all. Catch you later.
Peace.